Right.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Bring this in. Let's see, Justin. Rob. We're missing Rob. Anybody heard from it?
Maybe he's still exhausted.
Yeah.
Might be sicker. This board selected Tuesday night too. So
Yeah.
just we can see. So I don't know. I haven't reached out to him.
Okay. Well, here we go. I'll call this meeting to order. This is the May 19th regular meeting of Columbia Open Space Committee.
At 9 o'clock.
At 9 a.m. Okay, we have audience of citizens. Anybody in chat?
Nobody in chat. I did not receive any emails.
Okay. All right. New business. I didn't have any new business.
She did not. She's not here so far.
She's not here.
Approve the minutes. The minutes.
Oh, sorry. You're right. Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of April 21st.
So moved.
Any discussion, any amendments, corrections? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Okay, did you have new business, Paul? I didn't have it.
Well, I wanted to pass this out. This is actually more if Honor comes on board. This was an excellent article in the Harper Current 2 weeks ago about the Boy Scout camp.
Yep.
But I could discuss that briefly if Honor comes in. The only other
actually, if you're going to talk about another camp, we have to do that in executive.
Right, sure. Yes, that's what I meant. That's what I meant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
the only other item that I mean, we've got a full agenda, but I've started swimming down at Columbia Lake, and I go back and forth from the moorings, and in one direction I'm looking at Lake Astamuna every time.
Okay.
So for a full half hour, I'm going back and forth looking at Lake Astamuna. Camp Astamuna. And we do not have, as a town, a plan, as far as I know, that if the Congregational Church in Hartford suddenly decided, just like the Boy Scout camp, Scouts have, that we need to sell it, I think that we ought to have a plan in place, which could be a right of, if the town attorney maybe drew up a right of first refusal.
Tried it twice. We can try it again. We've been denied.
They denied it? Well, I think we ought to keep trying. Okay. Because I mean, things turn over in churches like everywhere else. And I think everybody would hate to see that go into development. I mean, it's been a part of the lake for, I don't know, a century or more.
More. 1910 was the first camping year. And then continues.
What if you made the approach to other churches? I mean, it's Hartford owned, correct? Did I hear that correct?
No, it's a church. It's a church in Hartford. It's not a Silent Hill.
It's church property right now, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So what if another church or churches, a group of churches, were to seek purchasing a right of, what did you call it, right of refusal? Or
Right of first refusal, yes.
I don't know if that, just a thought.
Yeah.
I don't know all the legalities of all that, but.
So I just think we have to keep it in mind and keep working at it so that we're suddenly not surprised. And
Well, why don't you make the motion and I'll bring it before the board, because it would have to be something they authorize me to.
sure,
try
absolutely.
again.
All right, but I would make a motion that the town confer with the town's attorney to write a right of first refusal for Camp Astawan.
Pursue
a right of first refusal.
Yeah.
I want to word that more precisely from me, Paul, so I can type it out. So that,
Well, I just got edited.
well, so that the committee requests of the board of selectmen.
The board of selectmen to have the town attorney pursue a right of first refusal for Camp Astawan. I have lakes on my mind. I got this always got camp.
Can you spell Astawan?
ASTO Newark WAMAH. And actually it's Center Church Camp Astawan. That's the
Oh, it's
official
Center Church. Okay.
Center Congregational Church in Fire.
Do we have to pay for that?
Town.
Yeah, I mean, we do. Give it.
Well,
I mean, that's something of value that the owners give into the town. So doesn't isn't some payment usually involved with getting a right of first refusal, something like that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
But the town attorney, I guess, we're asking him to pursue.
That's my lawyer.
Okay.
Okay, I worked at Camp Astawan for 35 years. And so I don't now, but I had lunch with the former camp director last year. She's very involved in the church and in the camp. And the camp is going strong. They are full for the season, a full campership. They're well enough endowed that they can offer camperships to kids who can't pay. And they have a full staff. So they're in good shape. I believe they pay no tax on the property. And yes, there was a faction in the church membership that said, well, if we sold this place, we could make, millions and millions of dollars, because it is private real estate. And we could right a lot of social wrongs with that money. But so far that's been a minor voice in the church, and they have full intention of continuing their camp program. So if our motion does not go anywhere, either with the Board of Selectmen or with the people who are in charge of the camp, then I think we're safe for a while. But it is good to keep this in mind, because things change, times
This happened
change.
pretty quick.
Yeah. And
Okay,
anyway, so we'll keep an eye on it, but it never hurts to get the right of first refusal signed. Then in case something does happen quickly, then we've got, at least we're in on the ground floor. Okay.
And I just had a question on that, and I'm sorry if I missed it. Can you just reiterate what the right of first refusal would do specifically?
The way I understand it, Justin, is that it's a legal document that's signed. And so if Camp Astawama decided to sell next week, they would have to, this document would obligate them to come to the town of Columbia and say, okay, our price is $100 million. Take it or leave it.
I think we leave it at 100.
come on, Ann, come on.
Good luck.
And then we have, at least they asked us, and we have the right to say yes or no. After that, they can go to someone else and try to sell it, but they have to ask us first.
The other challenge, Justin, is that towns don't move too fast. So in a first right of refusal, you might have to have some language to give us some time to consider it, get it through boards and commissions, get it to a town meeting. You know, it's a longer process than a private sale.
Yeah.
And Mark, is that something that I'm sorry, I'm ignorant to it. Is that something that's common to single out a piece of property to do that?
It's a critical piece of property, and you want at least to be in the running to have a shot at owning it. Towns or cities can have these agreements in place.
Okay, thank you.
Because the danger is just like with this Deer Lake Boy Scout, is that it gets announced overnight and there's a buyer all lined up and it's gone. And I know the big concern on Columbia Lake is they want to protect that watershed from being overly developed. That's a big chunk of land up there.
It is. It's what, about 300 acres maybe of forested. Not only that, but it comprises, if you include the Wells property, which is next door, along the lake shore, it comprises maybe as much as between an 1/8 and 1/4 of the shoreline, which is no walls, it's wooded, and it hasn't been developed yet. And as long as it's a camp, it will not be, because the camp, of course, is concerned about the privacy and safety of the children that attend. So they leave it wooded right to the water's edge, except where the dock is. And so that, and they do that for 2 reasons. One, it protects the quality of the water in the lake. And 2, it prevents this voyeurism that actually does go on. People are very curious about the camp, and they go by in their motorboats and they try to see what the kids are doing. And we have cabins that are like, you know, right there. The camp is very, very conscious of their ecological responsibility to the lake. When they needed to add bathroom facilities to meet the health codes. And so they went to the huge expense of installing compostable bathrooms at the camp. And one of the bathroom buildings does have ordinary, septic tank, but the other one is compostable because they did not want to have to put in a whole septic system that could leak into the lake. So they do that. The camp is the major part of the camp where the cabins and the activities go on are on a steep slope. And so they have installed erosion measures to make sure that the runoff does not enter the lake. They have water bars and strategic trap rock and things like that. So they're very good stewards of the land. So as long as the camp is viable, that is the absolute best solution to preserving that section of our land. Okay, any other new business?
Are you gonna vote on that motion?
Oh, you're right. See, I start talking.
We need a second.
Good thing we have Chris. Any further discussion? No, okay.
I'll second it then.
Okay, all in favor?
Right.
Opposed?
I vote no.
You vote no. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Abstentions? Nope. Okay. So moved. Justin, do you want to elaborate on why no? Or
not really. I mean, it's a private piece of property under which, if it was developed, it'd be under zoning regulations to do so. So I don't see it necessary, but that's just my opinion.
Okay, thank you. Okay, new business. Old business. Do we have any update on the immediate Graham conservation land?
No, nothing new has happened since we've walked it, both Rob Hellstrom and myself, and you and myself. I did talk to Chris Ram and said I'd like to walk it with him, and we were going to set up a Friday, but these last couple of Fridays have been too busy, so that's coming.
Okay.
And I could invite you if you'd like in.
Thank you.
When we do that. And well, I've already teed it up that there's a couple places we thought would be appropriate for viewing of the wetlands that we could build out, and I want to show.
Yeah. Did the spot that you and I looked at along the old road with the stone bridge, did anybody ascertain who owns that, and can we do that?
I'll confirm that. I did talk to Rob Hellstrom.
Yes.
And asked him if he could get me the final map of that whole area.
Okay.
So he's working on that, and he's working on a final map of the Pine Street parking area as well. Because with both of those, I need to bring the concepts, once we have an idea, to the Board of Selectmen and open up that discussion with them as well. So it hasn't gotten that far because I don't have the facts.
Okay.
But so Rob is doing that as a volunteer, which is great.
Yes, which is very, very kind of it. So with volunteers, you can't say, come on, let's go, get that done. They do it when they do it.
Rob's will take care of his wife.
Yeah.
side. Kind of busy lately.
Yep. Okay, so that covers the next three. How about the, oh, I know, Hop River. It's not on here, but the Hop River open space set aside on Hop River Road.
Right. We haven't done anything with that. Again, I've got to get a final map on that as well. We are continuing to work on the new bridge. We've hired a bridge inspection company that's working with the designers of the Hop River Bridge. And part of the focus is a water area for the fire engines to be able to fill up their tankers as part of the whole project. And as the project gets going, I want to see where would be the best kayak drop-off spot as a result of that set aside easement that we now own. But we do own it. I have the deeds, and I actually do have a map that shows everything. But I need to go there with Rob and decide what's the best way to do it.
Where the kayaks go in and where the fire.
And then again, that plan we brought to the Board of Selectmen and engage them in the thought process, because you'd have to define a parking area and keep it under control, because my fear would be it becomes a party area where I don't want the cars to be able to get past a defined parking area, so we wouldn't know they were back in there.
Yes. I think the neighbors will help with that.
Right.
If,
so
if
that'll probably take a while. We are working on, I'm working with Trooper DeCarli on a ordinance that will be bringing, I'm working on the language for an ordinance to actually give Trooper DeCarli the ability to give tickets for people that are trespassing after sunset in our parks without authorization. Like if they have authorization, like the Boy Scouts and they can camp, they're fine.
Right.
But if they're just in there hiding and partying, we want to give him the ability to have some teeth.
Would that be for homeless people too?
Well, that's becoming a bigger problem. That's a whole nother thought, but if they're in there camping without permission, that's illegal. I know. I'm being summoned. I'll be back.
Yes, that is a problem. There's a Joshua's Trust property that protects the floodplain of Hop River, right between the package store and the on-ramp to Route 6. And that wetland in there, which actually is very nice wetland, but I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a tank there. So
there's a couple of them back there. I've noticed.
Yeah, I have. So that's Joshua Trust property, and so the Joshua Trust people and I got on Joshua's Trust too, and steward of the property by default have gone back and forth on that. And so yesterday I did call Drew DeCarli and ask him to please take care of that. Ask them to move on. But you know, actually it's a perfect place if you're homeless. So lovely sunset there, package stores right there, and the Chinese takeout. It's perfect.
They're heartless.
Well, I brought that up because that's, I mean, the property is open to the public, but no one goes there because there are no trails. And, you know, in the wet season, you have to swim, and in the dry season, you need to get boots. So but the Powers of Joshua Trust said, no, take care of it. So I did. Anyway, okay. I just put the Hot River Trail Development Group on the agenda more as a placeholder because I don't want it to drop off, but the organizational meeting for that is next month. So I have no news on that. Moving right along, we still need a representative to the Salmon River Watershed Group.
Before we lose to Carl, excuse me for interrupting. Here's an update on your Joshua Trust, the legal camp.
Yes, I just explained that.
So I went there and I located the tent, and it looked like they'd been there a while based on the amount of debris around it. It was unoccupied. So what I did is I left a notice to vacate. So just like a bright orange sticker telling them that, you know, complaint's been made, you know, he's not supposed to be there, and a notice to vacate. So hopefully, you know, if someone is staying there and it's not just, you know, leftover debris, that they'll vacate.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
So the Mint Brook in the Wellswood section is the top of the Salmon River watershed, or one of the tops. There's, if you look at the watershed, it's broad ranging, but that section is the very top of the eastern section of the Salmon River watershed. So we'd like to stay in touch. If anybody has the time, I think they meet quarterly, and it would be an information gathering kind of meeting where you would just stay in touch.
Paul, didn't you say that you had participated in that group in the past,
Yeah.
you and Chris?
Yeah, Chris and I both several years ago belonged to it, yeah.
What were your experience? I mean, is it onerous?
Is it what?
Onerous.
No. No, it's really more sort of a liaison kind of arrangement. There's no real work involved. We have a very small part of that watershed, but because of the headwaters of it are here in town, it has some relevance to us, but it's not the kind of thing that requires a lot of input, or you're not going to get put on any subcommittees probably, so don't worry about that.
Wasn't it run by the Nature Conservatives?
I think the Nature Conservancy started it, but
I think the woman that ran the meetings was Nature
yeah, I
Conservative.
think she was. Yeah.
Is that Pat Young?
No, don't remember.
Yes.
Going back a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the actual first, when it was formed, is the certificates in the office.
Yeah, it's an interesting group, actually.
It's like 14 towns.
Yeah, and it's quarterly meeting, and they usually meet down. And
Ron, it's right up your alley.
we love it.
Wetlands.
Well, I'll volunteer to become a rep for that group.
Well, good man.
All right.
Bless you. All right.
All you have to do is point.
What?
He said we need to appoint.
You have to point me in the right direction. Who I
Okay.
contact.
I move that we appoint Ron Wickholm as the representative for the Salmon River Watershed Group from Columbia. Representative from Columbia to.
Second that?
Okay, all in favor?
All right.
And Ron, we'll get you information on, I'll get you the email contact list so that you can start getting their emails.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay,
There's no on our lawyer. But
no, there isn't, but hold on. I move that we go into executive session at 9:31.
Stop recording.
Second.
You need a
Second. Oh,
Yep.
sorry.
We need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
You came out of executive session at 9:45 with no action taken.
With no action taken. Thank you. Okay.
I had one last.
Yes, go.
Speaking of invasive plants, we had a Mark, we had a motion last month about taking to the Board of Selectmen to take a look at Mono Pond, a new group that's going to be looking at Columbia Lake. Did you move on that? Or?
Yeah, we don't have a contract. We're still working with the lawyers on the contract for a new limnologist, so I'll put it on the next board meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Does anybody have any other business?
Because I don't have a quote as to what it would cost to have the board authorize it, because we don't have that.
No other business? Okay. I move we adjourn.
Second.
At
All in
9:47.
favor?
9:47.
Okay. Thank
You
you
guys.
all for
Thank you,
attending.
Justin. See you.
Bye.